So panel number 3 is on-chain or off-chain, how autonomous AI agents are built today. Really excited to introduce our moderator, Zoe from Phala, and panelists Francisco from Giza, Marvin from Phala, Luke from Chainlink, Audrey from Spartan Labs, and Adriano from Valory. So I'll hand it off to Zoe. It looks like we're still waiting for Luke. I know he told me he's here, so why don't we wait a couple moments for him to come up.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we can use the time to do a quick intro. Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe, VP and partner at Phala. We are one of the sponsors of Agents Unleashed, our second time after the first Agents Unleashed event in Denver this year, which was a great conference. We had some of the panelists on stage already, so welcome back. So our topic is on-chain or off-chain, how autonomous AI agents are built today. And a quick question maybe, who of you guys are building or are building agents? Anyone? Some, okay. Are you building them on-chain? Hands up? Yeah? Okay, cool. This is what we are going to discuss today, and excited to hear the views of our panelists, what kind of components we need to host on-chain or off-chain. Luke, whenever you are here, just jump on stage so we can continue with our schedule. We had a quick intro, but I would like to start that everyone gives a bit of background. What are you building in the intersection of AI and crypto, and maybe also your personal background? Are you coming more from the AI side or from the crypto side to build or discuss this topic today? Audrey.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Akwenye. I'm CTO at Spartan Labs. I actually kind of did the reverse of a lot of people that are in the intersection of AI and Web3. I started out as a data scientist and did AI until about 2021. I worked on as CTO of an edtech startup that used AI to help teachers plan better lessons. And then I kind of went full DGen in 2021 and have since been a protocol engineer. So I'm really excited that now my work at Spartan Labs brings together these two kind of loves, technical loves of mine, which is AI and Web3. So at Spartan Labs, as CTO, Spartan Labs is a venture studio and the R&D arm for Spartan Group. So we do a lot of internal building and testing around new technologies, and we also support and incubate, very early stage projects as they go to market, helping them with their technical architecture. Right now, it just so happens that a lot of the projects that we're working on are working in the agent or decentralized AI space. So we're very interested in this as a thesis for the labs, and that's why I'm here today. Oh, sorry.
Thanks. And Fran, welcome back on stage. We had a panel last year. Let's try to keep the company intro a bit shorter because we want to discuss most of these things. Just where's your background coming from, the AI or the crypto side? And of course, quick intro.
Perfect, thank you. I'm Fran. I'm co-founder of Giza. My background is on AI. I've been doing it for almost a decade now. I was previously the head of ML of Adidas. I was building real-time recommender systems at a global scale, as well as previously also head of ML of BBVA, which is one of the biggest banks in Europe. At Giza, we're building verifiable AI agents, where these agents are completely deterministic, transparent, and verifiable with CK. And we can use these agents on top of DeFi protocols to automate and abstract away the complexities.
Hi, everyone. This is Marvin Tong. I'm the co-founder of Phala Network. And we've been building a T coprocessor for years, since 2019. And our mission is just to ship a off-chain block space that you can extend the capability from blockchain. And basically, we do only 3 jobs. We help Web3 smart contract to read data from any chain or any database they want. And we help them to compute with the most popular templates. And then we help them to connect these computation results back to blockchain via Oracle, T attestation, and ZK proofs. So this is Phala's job. And since last year, we begin to realize, okay, AI as an interface is becoming more and more popular in the Web3 space. So we begin to collaborate with a lot of AI projects to provide AI coprocessor as a service. So yeah, this is who we are.
Thank you. Just wanted to say it might be a bit difficult to understand everything in the back. So if you want to listen, come to the front. Here's some more seats available to better follow the discussion. Thank you. Adriano.
Thank you. So I'm Adriano. I'm delivery lead at Valory. Valory is the main contributor, one of the main contributors to Olas. As a lot of you may already know, Olas is the network that enables you to own a share of AI, primarily through agent economies. So in terms of my background, I would say I didn't come from the technical side. I came more from the business side. I, from that, became quite a crypto degen, and then through joining Valory 3 years ago, very much got into the intersection of AI and crypto, specifically agents.
Cool. Thank you, Adriano. And Luke, you made it. Welcome on stage.
I made it. So sorry guys for being late. So Luke from the partnerships at Chainlink. What Chainlink does is largely if you need to interact with any off-chain data and you need to bring it on-chain in a decentralized manner, coming to consensus. So think of it as a decentralized Oracle network that provides connectivity both off-chain systems as well as between different chains, especially when we live in a multi-chain world. So largely working alongside with AI-based agents, right, to enable interoperability between different chains, but also with AI models that are typically off-chain at this moment. How then do you bring that data and model so that inference can be done on-chain, but yet you are tapping and you know for sure that you're tapping on the right models in an off-chain manner in yet a decentralized manner.
Thanks for the intro, guys. So let's hop in to discuss on-chain or off-chain. And Adriano, maybe to you, because we just saw the great presentation from your team members about the new agent, let's say, services that you provide. Could you shortly summarize, because I saw not everyone here is building autonomous agents. What autonomous agent, how you would define it from what Autonolas is building?
Yeah, so I would define autonomous agent. So there's actually quite a lot of definitions flying around. So basically we can pick and choose which we would use. And at Valory, there's different parts. There's autonomous, there's AI, and there's agent. So I would say that an agent is a software entity that takes action on your behalf in pursuit of a goal. So I guess to make it a little bit clearer, I guess we can make the distinction between an autonomous agent and what I see as more like an assistant. So with ChatGPT, you might have assistants, or let's say like a co-pilot, for example, that will help you code. You ask it some questions. It's more of a conversation. There's still a lot of actions that you have to take. Whereas an autonomous agent would be, it's in the name, would be more autonomous. So instead of essentially teaching you how to do something, it would actually just do that thing for you. So yeah, I would say like an assistant is kind of like a car with an automatic gear stick, and autonomous agents are more like autonomous cars where you don't really have to hold the wheel, and you can get from A to B while you're there in the back seat watching Netflix.
Cool. Thank you. Does anyone wants to add to this, Marvin?
Yeah, I want to implement analogy to explain my understanding about autonomous agent. So I did interview a lot, and like it requires very differently from while you're looking for an intern or like junior engineer or senior engineer. So the difference is that if you're looking for a good intern, if he have like good acknowledged background and good will to self-promote, then he can execute the job really well, but under a good manager. But when you're looking for a senior manager, we just need things done, right? KPI driven, OKR driven, just give you a high level task and you need to break down the task or the goal into what we are looking for, and gather the resources you need and find the most efficiency path to finish the job. So from my understanding, nowadays, the autonomous agents are kind of in the intern stage. We can do prompt engineering and we are a manager themselves, right? We create a good prompt so that the agent can finish the execution, do the job really well. But what we really need is a senior manager. I just tell you what I'm looking for, right? Okay, I have 1,000 Phala token, get a Lambo for me, do it for me, right? That kind of intense is our input to this autonomous agent. And the agent should be able to search for tools and strategy and execute the strategy to make sure this job is doing well. So this is a differential in my mind.
Great. First time I hear this analogy. It's very good. And I think to move what we actually want, we are moving more towards the discussion of DAGI that we want to touch on later on. But I want to hear from you, Luke, because Chainlink, of course, Chainlink Labs, but Chainlink is known for the Oracle service. What, in your views, is needed to be run on-chain or off-chain for agents? And how you approach it maybe with the projects that you work with?
Yeah, I think the landscape right now is still not certain at this stage, right? What is certain, however, is what's the benefits of blockchain, right? Blockchain is basically a ledger that enables you to write states of transactions of what happened. It's not great with large language models, which typically is a lot more subjective and not as deterministic, right? So you need to interpret, for example, large language models, they interpret whatever data sources that comes through the system is not in numbers, right? What we have seen with, especially for AI agents, now that you're trusting this particular AI agent to say, hey, I'll give an example, right? Let's say like robo-advisory. It's a very centralized system right now, right? It's very opaque. All they tell you is put in X amount of funds and you will get X amount of APY, right? You could do it with an AI agent, right? But then the trust comes in where will you be able to trust millions of dollars putting into this system where any mistake of that agent results in the loss of your entire funds, right? So how then do you trust data models that comes into play? How do you trust that the agent is doing inference in the right manner, right? Blockchains right now, what they're good at is, I would say, more so the inference side of house, right? How do you verify that inference is pulled from the right data model, right sources? But blockchains have a constraint in terms of number of gas units that's available, right? And that's where we see like most data models right now is still off-chain. And you need to find ways to bring that on-chain in a verifiable manner. So that's where really Chainlink comes into play. Another lens you can think about it is, do you want to rely on just one AI model? Or do you want to have like consensus between 10 AI models? So let's say, for example, if you were to rely on one AI model, if there's any, let's say, hallucination with the AI model, right? If let's say you're trusting 7 AI models and they all have to come into consensus, then you would know that the risk of hallucination is like way lower than what it would be if you just trust like one AI model. So I think there's connectivity with off-chain systems and on-chain systems, but then the next step is, hey, AI agents, you live in a multi-chain world, right? How do you interact across different chains? If you need to do like governance across different chains, or if you want to do like yield strategies across different chains, I think that's where like there's a lot more. It's expensive in terms of the use case, and depends on each use case. You can then see the interactions between off-chain and cross-chain, but that's also where we come in.
Fran, how do you tackle this dilemma, so to say, at Giza, and what's also your personal view?
Yeah, first, it's good to understand the context. In this case, we want to use agents to manage our money that transacts in the blockchain. So for us, putting the trust in an LLM to manage our money or our wallets is like too much of an assumption and too much of trust that you need to put into the system due to the hallucinations and the potential errors that generating transactions can have. So for us, what belongs on chain is how we can have all the accountability of the agent on chain, like the how the agent generates the transactions, how the wallet is managed, for example, using account abstraction or these kinds of new functionalities. And what we keep off chain in our specific case is how the agent is verifiable. One of the unique features of our agents is that they are completely deterministic. So this means that every time they are going to behave in the same way, they are transparent. You can see how the actual decision-making process is made, and it's completely verifiable using ZK. So you can generate like ZK proofs of the whole execution of the agent from the input data to the transaction generation to understand how was this decision-making process. And this happens off-chain, but there is no trust involved because one, the decision-making process is deterministic, but also is completely verifiable with ZK. So in the end, we are reducing as much as possible that trust that you need to put into the system to create a system that acts in your behalf on-chain.
Cool. Yeah, you want to add?
Yeah, just wanted to add basically. So I think one thing that we're doing a little bit is we're kind of equating on-chain with, minimize trust or more security, which, yes, that's true, but it doesn't necessarily mean you can't get that off-chain. Like with what you were saying, basically, there's other ways of getting that verifiability off-chain. So what I wanted to add is actually, in my view and what we're doing at Olas is that actually the majority of the agent lives off-chain, and there's other ways that it can get that decentralization off-chain and retain the properties of, retain the trust assumptions of the blockchain by doing most of its stuff on-chain. And by doing that, essentially the agent has a wallet, represents itself on-chain, but by doing that, you're able to then overcome the limits that you have with having an agent that's entirely on-chain. So, as you were saying, being able to communicate with the outside world across blockchains. This is something that an agent really, really needs. The more intensive computation, again, that you can't necessarily get that on the blockchain. So yeah, those kind of things, which basically are key features to an agent, essentially requires that most of the agent lives off-chain, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have that trade-off of losing that decentralization. I mean, Chainlink has proved that with oracles that you don't need to be on-chain to be decentralized.
Yeah. Let's just want to add on to the verifiable part because we mentioned it several times, and Marvin at Phala, we use verifiable compute or create verifiable compute through trusted execution environments. So I want to go into this direction shortly, and Audrey, let you comment on this then. So verifiable compute was mentioned, like how do we tackle it at Phala, Marvin, and what other options are out there that we maybe explore or that you think are, like Fran mentioned already on the ZK part, interesting?
Okay, so in early stage of Phala, we build a brick. We really like the vision of decentralization, off-chain trustless, verifiable, all of these good stuff. And we build a brick, right, using T technology with blockchain. Okay, when we are trying to sell the brick to Web3 people, we realize they don't need that. Most of the times, they don't need that. They said, hey, I want decentralization. But when we are asking them to pay a little bit, for our protocol to use it, they don't use it. That's the truth. So then we realize this is not the right way to run a startup or get adoption. So I learned a lot, from maybe YC stuff, this and that. And a good analogy here is you should find the users have fire on their hair. So when your hair is making a fire, you will scratch anything to hit into your head and just get it done, right? It doesn't matter if it's a brick or water. So where are these people? And after years of exploration, we find that even in Web3, the people, the use cases need trustless is money. So when it came into the situation that people deposit money, funds, monetization, or just like management vault, stuff like that, there's a really strong motivation for community or the operator to become evil. And people question a lot. For example, layer 0 just make a big airdrop, right? And the community gave a strong feedback because they don't really know how the distribution of these rewards happen. The points, the rewards is collect, index, calculate in the off-chain, and layer 0 make the rules by themselves. So the trust crisis happen when it affects to money. So this is our insight. And because of that, we begin to implement both like TE, blockchain, and even ZK knowledge MPC into our network. For example, just a little example, in our network, we don't even trust Intel. So even a single TE hardware is failed, our trust assumption is that the node operator could be broken. So we create another layer on top of it to management the master keys running inside this key execution node to make sure we don't need to rely on the single hardware trust base. And another case is that we also implement risk zero, very popular ZK library into our TE, so that the developers can verify, using ZK to verify the remote attestation inside these TE nodes. So we just want to put the choices on the table, TLDR. Yeah.
Perfect. And we talk about trusted execution environments here when we use the word short version, TEE. Audrey, sorry, did you want to add to this or next question?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this discussion around on-chain versus off-chain AI. When we evaluate a technology or a tech stack needed for a specific solution or to a problem, I think that we should not go with any assumption. So this idea that you need to be like an on-chain maxi where everything should be stored on chain or however, it really doesn't make sense. It's about finding the pros and cons of on-chain versus off-chain and using all of the technology at your disposal at the time in order to create the best user experience and the best solution to a specific problem. And then hopefully, obviously, we all are, I'm a proponent of decentralized AI. So hopefully as decentralized AI infrastructure gets better, then the choices between on-chain and off-chain, or the user experience between on-chain and off-chain decreases from where it is now, and then it becomes more viable. At the moment, it's not that viable, and I think right now there's a lot of infrastructure being built to make on-chain AI more viable, and then hopefully there will be more solutions to that as well.
And let's dive a bit more into DAGI, right? It's like the new narrative within AI. We have decentralized artificial general intelligence. We had a great hackathon also this week on this topic. You come from the AI background. How would you say, what kind of steps do we have to take, maybe also in combining infrastructure components to move more towards DAGI?
Yeah, that's like DAGI, I think is a very important topic. So, this is basically saying AGI, which is artificial general intelligence versus decentralized artificial general intelligence, right? So, on a philosophical level, which is like the first thing is that you want AGI to be decentralized because you don't want a few large corporations owning something that's so powerful and that will really ultimately affect the human experience for majority of humanity going forward over the next 5 to 10 years. But then on a practical level, which I think we don't also discuss, is that it practically, practically the only way to get to AGI is if we have the D in front of it, if we have the decentralized. There's some estimates to say that AGI needs 10 trillion plus parameters in order to really reach AGI. So this is 10x of what OpenAI or what the largest open source LLM has at the moment. So then we can probably deduce that it has to be a decentralized effort to actually even get to the AGI in the first place. So that will be beneficial to us, but then also practically it's the best way to actually get to where we need to go. Yeah.
And Luke, from Chainlink Labs perspective, is this something you look into, like the DAGI, or like how to push it forward, and also how you actually plan your roadmap for Chainlink services?
Yeah, 100%. I think where we see the evolution of, I'll just use one concrete example in one sector, right? You guys were mentioning money is probably like the most sensitive and where we see the most product market fit at the initial stages. So DeFi was one of the key things, right? It could be payments for developing countries, right? Where they needed like access to stablecoins and yield-bearing products. So instead of just relying on their national currency, which might be devaluing, we have seen the traction for DeFi. But if you look at the user experience right now within DeFi, it's still, there's loads to improve, right? I used examples of like, if you were to go to any random person on the street, would they even interact with blockchain? Would they execute transactions and clicks all around just to access a product? Probably not, right? They are very used to the current centralized format where, hey, like just deposit funds into this particular account, it will do everything for you. And I think that's where we can look at the progress to DAGI, right? On really more so in terms of which use case is the most critical at that point in time, right, that would really push forward the use case for, let's say, AI agents, right, within the mix. So we firmly believe at this point in time is very much value securing use cases, meaning things that have to do with money. We have seen that progress done more so for like DeFi within the case, but it can be expanded across like governance related matters. But there's really like a whole suite of different solutions. You can look at like insurance as well, right? Like if you want to do like an insurance claim, you have to look through like T's and C's. Honestly, who looks at T's and C's right now, right? You need some form of like an agent that really helps you to scan through the entire document, right? And really come up with certain keywords that you are able to attest to and know for sure that you're not signing off on things that are overly anonymous, right? On the end. So how we look at DAGI is enabling use cases for blockchains, right? To be taken to the next level, right? Where it will onboard the masses, and how then can we facilitate that at Chainlink, right? So what we are really good at is coming to consensus and enabling real world assets, right? Right now we are working alongside with banks, institutions, SWIFT, ETHCC. They are bringing on board tokenized funds, right? And they want to send across various different data sets of their tokenized funds across various different chains. So when they come on chain, that's the first step, right? What's the next step? Enabling use cases, right, on chain. And that's really where we do see added use cases that can be enabled with AI agents that's being brought on chain. How can we facilitate that? Would be things like enabling secure price feeds, bring on board data sets that's off chain, bringing it on chain, but then also like what are some of the use cases that's required going cross chain, interoperability between different blockchains. And we believe that what we do at Chainlink is more so being that building blocks initially for developers, right? But now more so of developers of AI agents on top of which, right? So AI agents can tap onto Chainlink solutions, right? To enable and trigger transactions across various different states and enable more use cases that way.
Great. And to get there or to enable this a bit more, let's talk a bit about impact of cost and performance, which is always very important for developers. How can we get things faster and cheaper? How do you guys enable this through your technologies or services for developers? Fran, would you like to comment on this? And hopefully you'll impact positively on this.
Okay, I think this topic is very interesting, especially like current AI, for example, focus on the training side has a very big problem in terms of economics of scale with all the consumption of energy and money that it takes in order to create these kind of systems. And in the context of decentralization and how we can contribute into this in this trade-off, yes, decentralized compute networks can help into training these bigger models in an open way, but in reality, there are like a lot of issues like networking, latency that affect the training time and metrics, not only of the model, but also in terms of the cost and the time. So currently, I think there is like a bit of time to go until this decentralized training infrastructure catch up to how decentralized ones perform in terms of latency and networking. But down the line, in the next few years, it's going to be like something very tangible and real as an alternative to centralized training. For inference, in contrast, I don't think decentralization will provide that much value because of the same latency issues as people expect real-time responses. If you need coordination and a decentralized network to agree on the output of LLM, that is going to delay the responses and affect the UX. So in the sense of what we are doing, we don't plan to have this kind of decentralization and compute, but more provide the most trustless environment with the usage of cryptography, in this case, CK.
Adriano, from your side, how does Olas provides like better, faster, cheaper agents for developers? No, like how do you impact this, right? To build or to provide better performance. Mic is not working.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
mic works now. Well, funny you should mention that actually. Some of you. Hello.
Target.
Yeah, exactly. Some of you may have seen the presentation earlier by David M about Genie Propel, where essentially Valory has created a tool that uses AI agents. Well, actually, is an autonomous agent for creating other autonomous agents. So something that would take a developer, in the order of 3-4 weeks to complete, now only takes 1 week. And this is like the kind of very early stage of this product. With the rate that things are going, we can keep cutting this down and bringing down those costs of development. And really, it comes back to what Luke was saying earlier around kind of making blockchain easier to use, in the sense that maybe you and I will use it, but my sister, my grandmother, these people are not going to go around, click through these, try different chains and take these opportunities on different dexes. They aren't going to do that, and they're probably never going to do that. We've probably reached the TAM of the people who will actually go through that process, and where the next big unlock is where AI agents can come in and do those things for people and really bring that value to that those new end customers. And through bringing down the costs of developing these agents, bringing down the cost of developing these tools, we can get there actually very fast, I feel.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add to that, like when we're talking about dev tools like decentralized compute or decentralized data, it's, we forget that, with a developer, it takes them a long time. It takes a long time to learn a certain tech stack, to understand how to deploy a serverless on Lambda AWS cloud. So sometimes it's not just about building a better product or something that's faster, cheaper, but also the support around the dev community to kind of like shift their focus to a new tech stack and incentivize them to actually go away from what they know and trust it and that they can deploy easily to doing something that might take a little bit longer for them to do and a new system that they have to learn to integrate. So when we talk about dev tooling, I feel this is very important. Having really great documentation, having really great incentives and dev relations or DevRel support, because it's not just about the product, it's about getting buy-in from the developers as well.
But we also said that we can already build agents to accelerate this, right? So
Exactly.
this is how we can impact the performance for the overall agent landscape. Let's talk a bit more about innovation side of agents. Maybe you guys are working on something super cool that innovates agents, a cool project or use case, or something you've learned also going on during this week. I mean, there were so many, 400 side events. I think 200 of them were focused on AI. Whatever you guys learned, or maybe through some cool exchanges with partners. Luke, if you would like to start. Innovation for agents. Are we moving everything on chain? That could be an innovation already. What would you like to see from the innovation part?
Yeah, 100%. I think maybe before that, just to carry on to the point before, right? So what I think consistent across all of our responses before is the fact that how do you enable builders to focus on what really matters to build a good product? Abstracting everything away from builders so that they are laser focused to build, let's say, to better the AI model, right? Or to build out AI agents in a very fast manner, right? Fast free manner with trusted partners, tech stacks that they can use. So I think that's the key thing of what we're all trying to do here, is to enable builders to build innovative end user facing solutions. What I've seen right now within this space, I think we are at the very early innings, right? Where a lot of infrastructure is right now being built out, right? So that we can enable the next wave of developers to come in. We have seen that for DeFi, right? If you backtrack 4 years ago, back in 2020, even before DeFi summer, that's really where you see a lot of underlying infrastructure has been being built out. And then it took years, right? And then after which, once the underlying building blocks have been built out, developers can build things like Aave, things like Curve, things like Compound, with innovative building blocks on top of which. We are seeing that right now with AI, right? So I think there's a lot of innovation that's happening within the infrastructure level right now that enables more builders to actually build consumer-facing use cases on the end. And that's, on a high level, that's what really excites me about the space. We have yet to see, and I think we have yet to see right now in terms of like which consumer-facing use case out there. I mean, there's a whole spectrum, but I think it remains like it's really like I only have one brain, right? But it really, what we have seen across historically is that there's a lot of innovation that can happen once the building blocks has been built out for the developers.
Yeah, I want to add up comments on that. I totally agree. I think DeFi Summer is a good sample for why and how. Like the why is that DeFi can bring good, the highest capital efficiency liquidity into somewhere, right? And how is composability by smart contracts. So that's why we have a DeFi Summer, right? Things are getting a little bit awkward in AI space for now. I don't know if the founders, like how many of you already talked with traditional Web 2 AI guy. So what I see so far is when Web 3 AI founder begin to talk, the Web 2 AI founders laugh. That's the most situation, right? They either think we are crazy or we are dreamer. Either they think we are using a dream to scam some money. So that's true. But then I will ask them a question. Hey guys, do you think OpenAI and Anthropic is going to be create a much more monopoly world than ever? Yeah, they agree. And it's just like Uber will drive the taxi drivers, into an unemployee the most of the time. So it means that in the post-AGI world, most of the long-tail small company will lose a lot of commercial opportunities. So how do we deal with that? So the way to de-AGI stuff is, I personally think de-AGI can create a higher standard, higher intelligence AI than Web2 AI. The reason is here. I personally think OpenAI and Anthropic is almost kind of getting the data they already can get. So there's a lot of data they can never get. For example, OpenAI can't get data from Twitter because the relationship stuff, et cetera, private data, right? We are holding our private data. We don't allow them to read it all, something like that. So it means that there will be a benchmark or a bar that traditional AI can't break through with. And I think by the beauty part of blockchain is compatibility, ownership, not data ownership, but ownership and monetization. So with all of these weapons, we can actually coordinate ecosystem to make sure maybe the data provider can earn something, the computation provider can earn something. And in this ecosystem, the coordination of models, LLMs or long-tail models could create a better efficiency than Web2 AI because we can reach out more user activities, more private data, more computation power. That doesn't make sense for now, but maybe. So I personally think de-AGI could be even more powerful than AGI, and that's why we are here. And the how is composability. Unfortunately, today we don't have that. For example, I know Autonomous is kind of using Gnosis, and so as Agentcoin. So someone is every company is using a little bit other protocols, but we haven't reached the composability level of DeFi summer, right? And whenever we can be there, the database from Grass protocol can be computed by the GPUs on Akash or IONET, and then can train the models on Rachel and be reused by Autonomous. When we reach that far, I think we are coming to a success. So that's my personal opinion.
Then we can build a senior manager that you mentioned earlier, right? The agents are currently the interns, and then with the AGI, we can make them more smart. Fran, did you want to comment on this? No, okay. But you wanted to comment? Okay, so, but I would like.
Sorry. I mean, just on the point. Basically, what you're saying is there's these building blocks that are all there, and Olas uses Gnosis, but doesn't use their cache yet. These building blocks are currently not being brought together. So, in terms of the innovation, I think, there's obviously still some tech that needs to be innovated on. But actually, I think we have quite a few of the building blocks already here. We were, it's less about innovating on the tech and more about bringing that coordination. And I actually, this is where Olas comes in big time. It is the protocol for bringing these developers together, bringing developers, bringing governors, bringing launchers, like project launchers, bringing all these actors in an ecosystem together to create products that are useful for the rest of society. And so to recap the piece is basically what's really missing is the coordination piece, and what Olas is doing is bringing together those pieces through the Olas token, through the protocol. So yeah, I agree on the building block side, but yeah, we basically just need to bring them all together.
Yeah, I agree completely with that most of the projects that we're currently seeing are decentralized AI infra. And I am optimistic about this as well. There aren't a lot of great decentralized AI consumer applications that we can look to or point to at the moment. But I don't think that this is concerning. I believe that innovation breeds innovation. So once you create this infra layer, this communication layer, this connectivity layer, then I believe that that's when innovative builders can say, oh, these are all of the pieces that I need in order to build this application, etc. So we're not quite there yet, but I'm optimistic about, especially it's what's wonderful is when there's all of these projects, because decentralized AI is a big task, not one or two projects can do it. So you meet with a lot of projects and someone is solving this little piece and someone is solving this little piece and someone is over there. And then if you take a step back, you see how everyone is just taking a little bite out of the problem, and eventually even all of these smaller solutions will come together to build something that's great innovation that can be built on top of it.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I think we can wrap it up here. Maybe have time for a question, but I think to summarize on-chain or off-chain, I think we definitely learned how agents can be built today. But the major component here is how can we actually combine a lot of these technologies where on-chain and off-chain technologies follow or are included. Also technologies like ZK or TE that can verify off-chain programs or programs that mainly run off-chain. So let's further explore how we can actually create the joint ecosystem for DAI. Are there any questions? Maybe one question from the audience. Cool. The speakers will be around. If you have questions one-on-one, thank you so much for joining.